Welcome, everybody, to the forecast for October 2020 and the discussion about all the irrationalities and the rationalities and the spiritual and the energetic, the seen and the unseen aspects of our times. I always point out that these forecasts are merely reports of energetic readings here in our community. So it's more or less something that is already happening for those of us who are energetically sensitive and who allow their energies to be consciously witnessed. And as always, we begin the looking into the future with the looking into the past, looking into the present, and reflecting on September 2020. So how is this etheric disturbance, this etheric anomaly that I reported about last month, how did this affect you? Did this even affect you? Were there any things that you noticed? Deeper witnessing of connection with yourself, with love itself, and also just with other people, the planet perhaps, the commitment to self, and maybe encountering this feeling of loneliness or separation, having been kicked out of the tribe, something like this, aspects, inner child aspects of belongingness. So those were all things that were forecasted for us to take the time to really connect with ourselves on this deeper level. All right, so they're not clearing or reading or channeling or anything like that. They are like a deeper meditation session, and so they can facilitate this deeper awareness within ourselves as we are connecting with our true self there, and really listen deep within, something that most of us barely ever do in our 3D lives, which then leads to sort of autopilot, thinking you are awake but really not connected. And that's just to reiterate here, the statement that I frequently make is that when we're not in our ego, we are allowing a part of us to be in that coping with reality, just sort of trying to get past it, trying to get through type of attitude towards life. And that is very hard to actually feel in the moment. That's something you got to train yourself to pick up on, that this is actually when you go to sleep. The part of us that is actually able to go into this deeper reflection and find, these answers that we are so frantically looking for on the outside, to find them on the inside and to realize that they're already there. This is really it. This was September in a nutshell. The review. What have I learned so far? And how have I actually translated this? And if I haven't, then I need to do this now. Okay, because there's a reason why these things keep repeating. It's the nature of karma. Okay, we talk about karma here in a little bit, because that's very important in order to understand October energies. Don't forget that the purpose of self-healing is always to become aware and to make conscious choices, and to obviously also put them into action. All right, and this no man's land where we don't take action, that one at some point becomes painful, because the peace isn't coming in. We still seek. And why do we still seek? Because we're not doing it. The peace only comes when we do it, when we have the courage, when we have the trust, when we listen to our inner guides, and then we have inner peace. Has anyone ever stepped out of that no man's land by making a really scary, very conscious decision, one that really filled you with this inner knowing that this is what I need to do? I can't explain it. It makes no sense, but it is so clear. And if I don't do it, there'd be something like regret it. So we all know the pain of staying where we are at. And that pain gets worse, the more insights we have, as a matter of fact. This brief moment of just sidestepping it and saying, okay, you know what? If I can't trust in myself, what else is there to trust in, to have faith in? And to use that as the springboard, to use that as the energy, the power, okay, that makes all this happen. And then all of a sudden, as we've made this sidestep out of this no man's land, an inner peace comes over us. And in that inner peace, something magically happens. It's a spontaneous rearrangement of energies, and we feel support. And all of a sudden, the universe seems to conspire to help us. These are all things that I know you all have experienced. I know it's in you. It's something that you've witnessed in the small or in the big. You just got to remember it. There's a knowingness that comes with that. A knowingness through trusting in yourself and through understanding what the purpose is of what you're doing there. You gave it a meaning out of the freedom to choose. It makes you feel life itself. It is this aliveness that comes through this because you are aware that what is happening right now, what is manifesting right now, in its sort of nitty-gritty, tiny little steps, is something that you are manifesting. You are consciously manifesting right now. Okay? That's the difference. That's when you're awake. When you're awake, you consciously manifest. You know why you're doing something, even if you don't know all the steps. Okay, that's the tricky part. That's where we have to keep reminding ourselves, keep breathing, keep going in our center, you know. But there's a deep inner knowing. Okay, and that knowing gives you freedom. That's why we need these kind of reminders through and with another. We need to remind another of that because there are situations and moments in our lives where we have experienced this, and we need to bring this back to our awareness and understand that who we want to experience life as is our choice. We just forget that. It's like a muscle that needs to be exercised. You know, this initiative, this is extremely important here for October. And how all this chaotic stuff on the outside is nothing really but a wake-up call for us to step into that conscious manifestation process. There is nothing on the outside. If we externalize our choices, our decisions on the outside, we'll be lost because there's nothing anymore to hold on to. The old is gone, and the new isn't here yet. The no man's land between, you know, two different states, a lower state, the state of imbalance, and the higher state, the higher balance, the transformation, the alchemy of chaos. Let me give you just a few dates here in October. First of all, October is an interesting month for astrologists because it has two full moons. We have a full moon on the 1st and a full moon on the 31st. A huge, big, full moon on Halloween, like you see it in the movies. But October really kind of starts out like a like with a bang, if you will. There's a lot of collective fear that is going to be triggered here around the full moon time. Full moon is always a clearing time, and this is really clear with all these things that are ending and all, you know, realizing that the old is old and that it needs to go. It triggers a lot of fear and these unprocessed things that we talked about. Shows this in a very dynamic way, and it really forces us to seek solace in our sacred space, in that sort of center of our center, so that we can feel what needs to be healed. Yeah, to find grace within, to feel our true needs, our true wants. You know, a lot of you discovered, you know, the sort of the deeper layers of codependency here within the transCODES community. We've been working a lot with this in the last weeks. You know, and to be able to reconcile or correct some of the compromises that you've been making in your life. We all make compromises, that's fine, but it's time to review them. I mean, September was really the time of reviewing them. Now it's the time to follow through on the promise that you've made to yourself, hopefully by committing to yourself, by becoming more aware of the meaning of what you are choosing and why you're doing this, and then realizing that some of the compromises are perhaps not even leading you there. So this is what this first full moon here, right on October 1st, brings in, guys. It starts out with a wham, okay? And then continued this week, October 4th till the 7th, and then leading up to the 9th. Really critical days, okay, for October on a collective level. It really shocks us in completely unexpected ways. A collapse of a comfort zone, if you will. It's the collapse of the old paradigm. It will affect all of us, okay, and trigger different things in us. But it's really the realization that the old is gone, and we'll probably also see earthquakes around this time, big earthquakes. Then we have the middle of August, October, where you feel this like sort of feeling haunted by the ghosts of the past. This karmic hamster wheel, okay, will become very aware to you, and also the binds that you have to other people, and always remember this promise to yourself that shows you the roadmap to your higher expression, okay, especially in times like that. And then, you know, the last week of October can bring in beautiful new impulses, maybe things from medicine, things related to healing that come into our awareness. I've said this for the forecast of 2020, that this is going to be the year of energy healing. It's never been easier to be spiritual. It's never been more fulfilling, actually, to say I'm a healer. Okay, just all these things are changing now. No matter how long you've been sort of crawling around, you're trying to convince people, you know, that holistic or alternative medicine and well-being is the way of the future. The future has arrived, guys, and by the end of October, there's going to be a really cool shift here that you will all notice. Okay, where all this is now becoming mainstream and much easier for you, especially those of you who are a part of the healing community or self-healing community, if you will. Yeah, and then the Halloween full moon, the last day of the month, or last couple of days leading up to that, brings in a higher level of balance. So it's something that I actually look forward to. It will remind us, though, of some of the laws and rules and regulations. So I'm expecting perhaps, I know some of your countries already gone in this direction, lockdowns, okay, understanding that we can't just like close and then open and close and open. That doesn't work. That doesn't work for the economy. The economy is now beginning to show all this that has been predicted all along. So before I close, I just want to make one more comment here, and that is that prophecies always increase fear in us, guys. Okay, even if we feel this sort of sensational stimulation or this greed, for wanting to know what comes. It's the controller in us. It's this ego notion, if we know what's going to happen, all right, then we can control it better. It's an illusion, obviously. So that's why I point this out. It may seem like semantics for some of you, but these forecasts that I'm making are really not prophecies. Okay, this isn't coming from anywhere outside. Okay, these are readings. Okay, from within people. We all carry this information in us. Resolutions are within us. Yeah, and uh, that's the big difference here in discussing and forecasting something based on potentialities, based on statistics, really, how this has worked out for most people in the past. All right, and also seeing and reading people's energies, how it translates for them. Okay, there's a huge difference in this. So you need to be careful with looking, blindly looking for answers and doing all kinds of sort of irrational ways of handling with your fear. If you don't know where to go, then just stop the machine and go inwards and find the solutions and resolutions from within. It never is the one fix, guys, and it never is, the rationalizing and the blaming that could get you out of that. It's standing in the middle, letting go of resisting your fear and your pain, and showing up for yourself by really wanting to deal with it, really wanting to feel it so that you can know how to heal it. And the reason why I'm pointing this out, guys, is because we are here right now in this October 2020 time at an unprecedented time of fast-paced transformation. The values and conditions are changing almost daily on the outer level for all our societies here. And there is little left that we could, sort of externalize our power to. Okay, so we have to find this way now of really working with our fears, with this fear of the future, the fear of the end of everything that has been driving humanity into suffering, for as long as history can write it down. Okay, it is something that our human collective has never really experienced like this before, and we need to come up with better ways or more effective ways of interacting with these energies that are coming in from the outside, because the normal coping, okay, the seeking pleasure or avoiding pain doesn't actually do it anymore. There's very little we can actually trust in anymore, right? I mean, look at the news, look at what is happening around you. People no longer trust in the government, they no longer trust in the church, they no longer trust in the economy, they no longer trust in science, they no longer trust in each other. Okay, there's nothing left on the outside that could give us any kind of roadmap. So as we are going through this transformation, we have to find a new roadmap. That's the new paradigm that is coming in. As the old is gone and the new one isn't quite there yet, we are forced to find a new roadmap for ourselves for dealing with our fears, the core of our inner duality, the core of darkness. So why do I call uncertainty or the fear of the unknown the core of darkness, because it is the very thing that pulls us into all our unresolved and unprocessed emotions and past pains. Okay, so we have on one hand the pain of the past and the fear of the future. Together they make up our ego and the coping mechanisms that are formed out of that. And they are, if we are not aware, running the show. They're driving the bus. They're driving our life. This is why so many people are in this deep crisis right now, this inner crisis of not seeing any purpose, not knowing who they are, not knowing what to do. And it isn't until we become aware of the fact that we are actually asleep, or that we were asleep, where we externalized our powers to rules, regulations, governments, companies, norms, okay, things that we just sort of unconsciously adopted. And that doesn't mean that they're all wrong or bad. It just means that if we take them and identify with them and make our perception of self depend on them, then we run into this problem, namely not knowing who we are and not knowing what the purpose of us being here is, a deep spiritual need that we all have, because we can't give it a meaning. It makes no sense. So this need to internalize ourselves, to choose whom we want to live this life as, whom we want to experience this life as, witnessing ourselves in our life, is then what can help us to deal with fear. And what does this require us to do? It requires us to consciously become willing to deal with these pains of the past and fears of the future. And why would we want to do that? Because it shows us what our life is about. It shows us how we mature. It shows us what we have learned. It shows us where we can find the answers within ourselves. It reconnects us with the joy of life, with the beauty of life, and it makes us free. And this is the main topic for this whole entire sort of karmic collective transformation that we are going through, this paradigm change of understanding ourselves that we are witnessing here right now. And if we are run by these unprocessed fears and pains, all right, and if we do it like our ego suggests, namely run away from the pain, not wanting to deal with the pain, resisting the pain, or seeking distraction and pleasures and false desires, and not false as in wrong, false as in like the things that come more from this unreflected animalistic kind of nature in us, okay, then we cannot feel any joy, we cannot feel fulfillment. It can never be saturated. If it's money that we're going for, we need more money. If it's love or sex, we need more sex. If it's attention from others, we need more attention. If it's some kind of confidence or self-esteem that we are seeking, then we need more of whatever it is. So for as long as we're running or seeking something to get more, we know that we are not free. We know that we are caught in our own inner dualism. One example that we are seeing right now in regards to dealing with the corona situation worldwide is how people translate this, how the collective translates this. And it shows you very beautiful the irrationality of our mind's way of dealing with fear. or our ego's way of dealing with fear. But one half of the people, immediately go into this powerless place and just want the rescue, want the fix, okay, have an attachment to the fix it all that can all make it go away, the vaccine, or the face mask, okay, and they hang on to this idea or to the face mask like as if it was their life itself. And the other half goes, and this is a very typical thing of the dualism of our mind, okay, goes into this seeking for reason, seeking for somebody to blame, trying to find out, sort of why this is there and who's behind this, and all these conspiracy theories and so forth that we are seeing. And the media is playing a instrumental part in this, okay? Because it's doing both. It's creating these fear images in us, all right, and at the same time, sort of seeding these things where these seeds of distrust, okay, where where our mind is constantly busy with reasoning, okay, and blaming, okay, and all that. Both of these two mechanisms lead us away from the middle, from the center, from us actually being able to deal with it. And you've heard me talk about bifurcation. For many, many years, I have been predicting this, that our societies, our collective here will basically sort of split into different, not dimensions, but it will almost be like different dimensions, because subjectively, the people in these two different groups will experience what is happening in a completely different way. I want to correct this. It's actually a trifurcation. There's like literally, it's splitting into three ways. So people that go into this one extreme, the extreme powerlessness, the fear of pain, and wanting the fear and the pain to go away, okay, and to externalize their powers to whatever the current fix of the day is, or the superhero or the rescuer of the day. And the other extreme, which are the people that are blaming and accusing and attacking and protesting against everything, and just going into the other extremes of resisting, okay, the fear by trying to fight against it. And then the people that find the guidance and the solution within. They find the resolution within through going into this courage for the initiative to change something, to become the change that they are waiting for. And to choose freedom through consciously interacting with themselves and really working with the fear and the pain that they're experiencing, and not resisting it, and not trying to avoid it, not trying to hide from it, but also not trying to fight against it, but by really working with it and finding peace through this inner resolution that comes forward. So it's like a three-way that is opening up. And for these people that go the middle way, the center, okay, and obviously this happens through internalization, through us consciously choosing to witness ourselves and our life from within, to witness our higher self from within. And all of a sudden, these people will realize that there is meaning to it all. The more inner resolutions we are finding, and it's not that we didn't know they weren't there, because we all have inner guidance. We just don't listen to it. It takes a crisis of these dimensions to remind us to look there. And those who have the trust, who have the faith and the courage to listen into this and to make that one step, that one courageous step into, really allowing themselves to be themselves, to witness themselves, and to say, okay, I guess that means I have to step up. That means I have to show up for myself. That means I have to choose whom I want to live this life as. For these people, something completely new happens. And that is they find inner peace. And why do they find inner peace? Because they no longer have to seek. They no longer have to externalize. They can connect with joy. They can connect with beauty. They can connect with healing and self-healing through the empathy that comes forward in that present moment awareness. And it allows them to give everything a meaning, to make sense of why they had to be in this place and what the purpose is that has been guiding them all along. And when someone is in that place, in that center of their own center, where all values and virtues from the outside no longer determine the inner values and inner virtues, that's a free person. That person then doesn't need to be told what to do, doesn't need to be told how to behave, doesn't need to be told what truth is, doesn't need to be told what integrity is. That person can feel it within him or herself. And yes, we still have to contend with all these societal changes that are going on. Yeah. These curveballs that life throws, but they make sense. And let me tell you one thing here. This isn't just woo woo blah blah. Okay. It's an unprecedented time in regards to mind control and manipulation right now. You know, in the old days, like say in Egypt times or in Roman times or even in medieval times, there was a lot of manipulation, but it was overt. You know, there was no sort of from behind or in between. What we are experiencing here right now is the finest mind control. And this is not to spur any of the conspiracy theories. This is the outcropping, so to speak, of the old dying. It's the last hurrah of the old dying. Okay. How is this mind control happening? Through fear mongering, through implanting these fear images into us and stunning us in that way, because no human can really withstand this, the ego's pressure, irrational pressure to avoid pain and seek pleasure, except for someone who's trained to go into this sacred heart center through breathing, through meditating, through mindfulness, through contemplation, through truly exploring oneself and knowing oneself, knowing one's own truth, and not resisting reality, and not resisting the fact that other people have a different version of truth either. Understanding why other people cannot see this, cannot feel this, and not judging them for it. So my tip for you guys when it comes to the piercing through or sidestepping all this mind control manipulation here is not to ask if it's true or not. Don't get caught up in that sort of ego mechanism, okay, to find pros and cons for everything. Ask, why are they saying this? Why are they doing this? What is the intention behind this? Feel into the meaning of it that the other one presents. And that's where you will find truth. And this even works with yourself. Why am I doing this? What's going on? What do I really get out of it? Why am I still doing the things that are not healthy for me? What's the payoff? Why is this other person so mean? Why are they lying? Why, don't ask. Don't try to prove that something is untrue. Call it out, but asking it what their motivation is. And if you're not sure, or if it's someone you love and it's almost like you can't believe it, then inquire about it. Say, wait a minute, what I hear you say is this and this and this. And the image that this produces is this and this and this. Okay, it makes me even more afraid of things. It makes me, whatever it is. Okay, is that what you trying to say? Are you trying to tell me that I should be more afraid? Okay, this is how you pierce through mind control and through manipulation, guys. You have to call it out. Those of you who've watched the Angels and Demons Truth Talks, there I've contextualized pretty much the same tip in the way where I said you have to call out the dark. You have to call it for what it is. Don't run away from it. Don't be afraid, and don't blame it. Don't fight against it. Just call it out. Call it by its name. By calling it out, by calling truth, okay, you're doing two things. You're witnessing yourself, and you're strengthening yourself with that, and you're weakening that which is trying to manipulate you. And you'd be surprised if you do this with your mother-in-law or with your brother or your narcissistic boyfriend. You'd be surprised what happens. It stops them. Okay. So that's here in this sort of interpreted way. The main theme for October 2020, the alchemy of chaos, how to pierce through that by letting go of this externalized way of living our life and instead embracing the challenge that this transformation brings, namely exploring our own higher self, our own higher expression from within and not through the eyes of others. So let's look at the chakras here that are triggered in October. This, for those of you who are trained in energy awareness, you can sort of draw your conclusions. I have chakra worksheets that you can subscribe. You can sign up for them and get an email with all these different worksheets, also exercises and so forth. A physical integration for each of these energy centers, these main physical energy centers. The first chakra, the karmic, unresolved, unprocessed inner child, deepest core programming aspects are being triggered in October. And you might know what this means. This means that, you're going to be challenged in feeling safe, in feeling, that your most fundamental needs, namely for shelter and protection and, most fundamental sense of belonging, all right, this making sense of being here, that this is going to be challenged, it's going to be disturbed. And this means that a lot of people are going to act out on that, on all their unprocessed and unresolved emotions, especially those of us who have been dedicating, our resolution finding to the mental way. Okay, getting stuck in our minds. Okay, this will be a very challenging month for those of us who try to find something through seeking. Okay, this seeking is an addiction. It's a form of ego addiction, a coping mechanism that links back to the avoiding pain and seeking pleasure. So there's a twisted pleasure and distraction in that, that it literally leads to us becoming susceptible to mind control. All right, this is why it's so easy to hijack our minds if we are sort of in our minds all the time. And at the same time, a very strong 7th chakra, crown chakra aspect, which brings in, or is supposed to bring in, our awareness to the bigger perspective, the bigger picture, the bigger cycles, the cosmic a part of us, okay, and how it's all connected. And the 1st and the 7th chakra, both being challenged at the same time, always brings in a very unique existential crisis, I want to call this, a spiritual crisis. It's when we lose faith, and that's why, you know, you see this this need for some kind of, even if it's fantastical, okay, a lot of these conspiracy theories are fantastical, all the way to like aliens coming to rescue us. Okay, this is why you see this, because there is such a strong need and a seeking, all right, for giving it some kind of reason, some kind of meaning, or some kind of blame, okay, that could make sense, okay, all the way to the completely irrational. All right, this is the challenge in October. Now, internally, the biggest challenge is this heart-mind awareness that we are all here in the process of resolving, this collective karmic transition here from left brain to a more left and right brain a way of living, or more unified, if you will, in a spiritual sense, or in an energetic sense, a more balanced, you know, masculine and feminine energies likewise. Um, this is now evolving into its expression. So what many of us feel as sort of a wake-up call, or something like, we got to act now, it's got to be translated now, self-actualization, self-expression is very real. So you're going to feel this. It's a little higher in your body for those of you who are sort of kinesthetic, more tactile. Not so much in the lungs like we had this in these past 3-4 months. It's now more in the throat, and it's more about the actual bringing it into expression, be it by speaking truth, and by really going into this clarity in our communication, or be it through our life's decisions, being congruent, being authentic. 4th and 5th chakra, heart and throat chakra together, when they come like this, when they're challenged like this, always forces us into more authenticity and congruence in our actions, in our practical life. And especially here in this is very clear for October, in regards to our physical bodies. The body awareness here for October is, I mean, obviously through the whole corona situation, we are thinking and talking more about health and healing and so forth, but this is now coming in with a really cool kind of support. We'll find ways to quickly making effective changes. So this wake up call, those of you who feel this wake up call, whether it's, you know, you should quit smoking, or quit drinking, or quit doing this, or start doing this, refrain from doing this, moderating this. October is a really, really good month to do that, and not out of fear, but out of the freedom to choose. This is the important part. When you make decisions in regards to your body based on fear, because you're afraid of dying, or afraid of getting the coronavirus, or afraid of putting on too much weight, and not looking good enough in whatever way you perceive yourself, it can't grip, it's externalized. It has to come from that internalized place where you freely choose to do it. And if you do, it's going to be so beautifully supported in October. It's a lot of healing energy in all of this alchemy of chaos. All right. Emotionally, it's what we've talked about here in this whole discussion. It's about really handling our fears, okay, especially the unresolved ones, And that brings up a lot of inner child stuff. But now it's more shifting towards the karmic component, and karmic even in regards to, like, say, past lives or multidimensional aspects of ourselves, the ghosts of our past. And learning that, these repeats, okay, that come up in our lives, that they're not there randomly, that this is something that really tells us something. It gives things meaning. All right. And if you are still suffering from these fear waves that come over you all of a sudden out of nowhere, these anxiety attacks, then understand that this is part of collective energies really affecting your body. But it's also your body's way of telling you that whatever it is that you're holding in, that it can't hold it anymore. See, understand that an anxiety attack is something that signals to you that you need change. And when you try to hold in all these pains of the past and fears of the future, then your body at some point can't handle it anymore, okay? And it goes into this anxiety even though nothing is happening. And this needs to be rebalanced. And one way to balance that emotionally is to go into this trusting in yourself and the courage for initiative. So in conjunction with your physicality, your body, because anxiety attacks, as I explained here in the energy tips last week, is mostly a physiological condition. So decisive or courageous step into saying, okay, you know what, I'm willing now to give up this or that, or I'm really doing it now. I'm going to exercise more, not because I'm afraid to die, but because I want to feel better. I want to feel more alive. I want to feel my body. I don't want to be so tired all the time. All right. I want to feel my libido. I want to feel all this come back, and it will support me and give me even more courage and give me more power to do the next step. So just take this one step at a time. But especially those of you who are with anxiety, the physicality is a key in that. All right. So don't get stuck in what ifs. Okay. Because that, turns, steers up your anxiety. Ask yourself, well, what if? What if I really do it? I mean, what's speaking against it? Why not? Turn the what ifs into why nots. And then mentally, it's obvious that there's a connection here with our fear and how we interpret what we perceive, and that there can be an error perception there. But the solution for that, it has to come from within, and that requires us to cultivate the discipline of learning how to calm our minds, so that we don't lie there in bed and can't sleep because we can't stop our mind. And then out of sleep deprivation, our hormones, neurotransmitters, everything gets messed up. We have no energy. Then we develop even more anxiety. Okay, you got to understand how body, mind, and thoughts, how they work together. We need to develop a mental discipline, okay, through mindfulness, through breathing, through taking the time to actually calm ourselves down, so that we can learn to trust in ourselves again. And once you can trust in yourselves and feel somewhat in control, that you can let go of your thinkingness and surrender all this ruminating, okay, then something new will happen. And this is very beautiful here for October. It brings in true intention, and true intention then is also what is needed, okay, to make all these changes, to go with the transformation. Intentiveness, okay, this is part of this mental discipline, to be clear about the intention behind anything that you choose, conscious choice making. All right. And in our social relationships and everything that we interact with here, it's really important to understand that processing things together with others, through sharing, through, well, even if we have to hire a therapist or a coach to do this together, or as a group, okay, we are allowing ourselves to really feel the power of togetherness, the one thing that can drive us into this isolated and separated place of you know, having been kicked out of the tribe. This needs to be consciously addressed. And I know that many of you feel that the air gets a little thin up there, you know, when you doing all this inner work and there's not a lot of people you can talk to. That's true, but that doesn't mean there aren't people out there. There's a lot of people out there who have sort of an inner feeling for all of this. They just can't put it into words. So maybe you are the one that, through your sharing, you know, modeling it for them and giving them the courage to start talking about it. So just because not a lot of people in your personal environment talk about these kind of things doesn't mean that people are not internalizing it. It just means a lot of time that they have no ways, no vocabulary, no model, no frame of reference to actually interact with it. And that's also a big topic here for October, the fourth chakra, fifth chakra, to go into connection and bring it into expression. Financially, guys, you know, this whole transformation and paradigm shift now also requires the need for new financial models, and this again requires a lot of courage. So some of you are looking into things such as blockchain or cryptocurrencies. You know that I have been a proponent of blockchain technologies here for many years. This is one way. There's obviously also a dark side to that, but there definitely is something dark and dying about the old system. Same in the political way. So by just continuing the same old and not really letting the old be old, okay, and outdated, okay, the same for science. We cannot really manifest new technologies, new ways of thinking, new and better ways of dealing with all these problems that are in this world right now, and for the future and future generations. This resolution finding needs to turn inward now for all of us. It needs to come from within, and that's also why we have this really strong influx here of spiritual momentum, okay, that brings people to this place outside of religion, you know, to go a little deeper and to really explore their I am awareness, and to contemplate about whom they experiencing their life as. Okay, so this seeking for purpose is something that triggers a deep spiritual yearning in us. And this is also where we need to be very careful about mind control manipulation, because for like let me just say it this way, I don't mean it in as judgmental as it sounds, but for all the narcissists in this world, all these new age groups are like fodder, you know. It's this unreflected spirituality is very dangerous. So we need to watch out here, you know, as to what we are experiencing there, what the intention is behind it. Okay, question what other people tell you, question what I tell you. Always internalize this, always verify this from within yourself, and ask yourself, why is this group or this news channel or this guru or this teacher or whatever saying this? What is the meaning behind this? And if it doesn't make any sense to you, you know what? Call it out, ask. Okay, if you can. All right, this is then what strengthens your sense of self, because you are making a stance for yourself. And energetically, it's now then basically the culmination, because that weaves through all the other levels. You know, it's allowing sort of this right brain, you know, the associated inner feminine energies to be unified, the heart, mind to think, feel, and allow that to be there and to become our roadmap. This is the paradigm shift, the new paradigm of understanding ourselves, really experiencing ourselves from within and recognizing that there is a roadmap, like a template already in us, all right, that can show us the way through all these different outer conditions that the collective here has to process in its sort of slower, grinding way. So in December, you'll see that there is a massive shift here for all of our societies. It's a whole new societal cycle that we are entering in. It's very exciting, but also very challenging in this way. You see, we have the roadmap in us, but it takes courage to be conscious, to be awake, because our ego is designed to keep us asleep. And that's not a conspiracy. That's literally, how our 3D body is designed, and it's the body and and our emotions with the neurotransmitters, hormones, and the thinkingness and interpreting and perception. They work together. So there's the spiritual notion that we have cannot be serving our ego's attempts to escape or fantasize. It's the spiritual notion, the spiritual yearning that we have can only be answered if we go within, if we deal with all the signals, all the things that come from our inner guidance, our inner knowing, our inner sensations, thoughts and feelings as well, but the true kind, where we allow it instead of sort of interpreting it away or suppressing the emotions. All this needs to be felt. So all these quote unquote lower human notions or temptations, the hindrances of self-mastery, okay, they're all part of our condition. This is something that we all need to contend with. It's neither good nor bad, okay? It has its purpose. But when you evolve into a higher octave, on a higher level of self-expression, then they become a limitation. So we have to discipline this. We have to learn how to develop virtues for ourselves that elate us, that elevate us above these notions, okay, that we could escape reality. That's the discipline that we need as humans to overcome our own duality. It's a huge task, guys. This is a huge momentum here in collective transformation. So don't judge yourself. Don't beat yourself up for being human, guys. Go into appreciation and gratitude for being able to experience all of this and reconnect with the joy of life and see the beauty of life, all right? And then you'll feel the purpose. Then you'll feel the meaning of it all. Then you don't need to seek meaning or frantically try to give it meaning and seeing signs in everything. That's all ego. The true meaning reveals itself in a most exquisite inner peace. That's when you know that you're not in your ego, because you don't need to seek anything anymore. It's the only way how you can tell that you are actually having an insight due to the power of your consciousness. Peace, inner peace, freedom. And it takes a lot of courage, yes. But the fact that we can talk about it, the fact that it occurs to us, the fact that we can think and exchange these concepts means that we are capable of doing that. Have faith in that. So that concludes the forecast for October 2020. And thank you all for coming, and everyone. Yes. Bye-bye.